Hello, hello. All right, so welcome to MoveMatrix, the HTML file that will help you optimize your move, whether you are packing into a pod that will go into storage and you want to make sure that you fit all of your things into that pod in the optimal way, or just want to do everything in one trip. This is a interactive 3D HTML file to help you plan ahead so that there are minimal surprises during the move. There's always some surprises, but let's get them minimal. So you might start off with, here's all your things. You're already packed, and you have the dimensions, the constraints of the moving pod, right? 55 inches, 91 length, 81-inch height. So how do we get them all in? So the first feature here, or the first thing that you'll probably will start off with is start a new move. So not all pod links are going to be the same, and you're not going to have the same things that I have. So set your pod lengths accordingly, or your moving truck. You can fill a CSV and load it in. What you need is an ID for everything. What type of thing? Just a name. The dimension doesn't really matter because you will orient that yourself. And then a squish factor. Squish factor is kind of nice, just to show you what that means. Sometimes if you're really determined, you can squish it in. So here, for example, a mattress, which has these dimensions for my mattress. Well, I might be really determined and say I can squish this, on the x-axis, or maybe I can squish this on the y or z. I don't know what axis it is, but you can see how the squish factor, right? If you're tight and you really want to push things in, um, fill that up. And so, okay, then you're ready to start. So you would click Start a New Move, fill out the dimensions of what you're loading into, fill out all the things, and then click Start a New Move. I've already done that, so there is no need. The second main thing here to note is that it is an interactive drag and drop. I guess before we go ahead and say that we are going to create the best algorithm, there is this export current, which gives you the JSON, which you can pass into any LLM, most likely Claude, and say, hey, this is what I'm currently doing. Can you recreate things and try to optimize? I, ask them to do Claude to do its own algorithm, optimization algorithm with some squish factor, which you can see here. It didn't fit the chair, and it's a little chaotic, but I don't know, not such a bad job. And then no squish, didn't fit the chair, and I think that's a trash can. Yeah, trash can thing. Um, so I decided I could do it better, or at least I thought I could do it better, and I was right. This is what I ended up figuring out. So, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty proud. But the goal of this is, how do you get to that state? Well, this is how I started. And so first you can start to drag and drop anyway. If you press shift, you can move it up and down. And there are some hotkeys. So I can move it to the back, I can move it to the left, and I can drop it down. I also have a hotkey for gravity drop on. So if you just want a natural feel, right, you can just drag and drop. The other key thing is, being able to orient things. I think the mattress is probably the best one to consider, right? If you are trying to fit and maximize everything, that's pretty important. Um, and of course, I already talked about the squish factor, and then of course, right, these hotkeys. So you just keep going until you fill it out, and once you feel like you have something, you can go ahead and click save, and give it a new layout. This is obviously not too optimal, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into my final configuration, which is a beautiful configuration, and it was pretty good. So I was able to get 40 out of 40 in the pod. I fit the chair, the trash can thing. So there's a couple other features that I think are very helpful during this process. One is the layering. So, you can kind of see and you can kind of zoom in and so on, but if you want to start to remove layers, you can hit the Z layer, so it gives you a little bit better of a view. Um, the other, and you can also use the Y to see how things will pack in. This became very useful because we had movers, and I wanted to show them, uh, all right, this is going to be what we do first, and then this is what we'll do second. And it was just really easy to visualize, how the move would progress. And then you get to, before the chair, right? And then you can kind of visualize how the order of what you want to do. It was also really nice because it's, I was able to see like, oh yeah, this table thing, will be a good support structure for the mattress, so it doesn't get all crunched. All right. Um, some of these, if you don't want the labels or you want it to be solid for some reason, I don't know, those features were not as helpful. But this one was pretty helpful, this show empty space feature. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that and why that was useful. So say you are, you're kind of packing and you're trying to figure out like, well, how much can I really get in there? So this show empty space feature, and I'm going to remove pod IDs and item outline. So here you can visualize the empty space and you can actually hover over and see, hey, if I have something that's 10 inches by 21 by 4, that could go right there. And if you're kind of competitive, you can see, well, how much empty space? What is my capacity in my storage? If you go put this all the way, oops, come on. I don't know, 31% of the pod was empty. I would say that's okay. Um, and you can see that the bike is there. It's pretty cool. All right. So that is pretty much it. It allows you to really visualize your move. The other thing, if what you're moving is, not possible, it will highlight it red. That was very helpful. Um, I guess this last feature, if you need to edit your dimensions on the fly, you can double click and edit the dimensions of your things. Um, and you can just build on this because it's an HTML file and you can throw it to any LLM and say, hey, make this better, or add this feature. Yeah, good luck on your move and hope you enjoy the Move Matrix.